The wait and anticipation is almost over. The gladiators are ready. Are you ready? Super League is back tonight on Super League Raw Weekly. We have exclusive interviews with John Cartwright, Mark Applegarth and Adrian Lam ahead of the new season. Is it time for change for the Challenge Cup? Super League Raw propose our strategy to put life back into it. Banging or hanging looks over the 144-point plan. We have our first look at the Toulouse Olympique squad going into this new season. How will they fare? The little man is back. What would Oliver say? As always, is on the show. We'll have all the news, all the gossip and all the transfers as always. And finally, we will take a look at Hull KR ahead of the new season. Can they back up on an unprecedented 2025? It's tonight. It's Super League Raw Weekly. You can't beat a bit of... This programme is proudly sponsored by BYD, the #1 electric vehicle in the world and the fastest growing brand in the UK car market. BYD in Super League Raw, building our dreams together. And the home of Super League Raw, the Bluebell in Warrington. Make this your pre- and post-game destination for the best food and drink in town. So good evening and welcome to the Super League Raw Weekly before the big kick-off this Thursday. It's time to get giddy, folks. It's time to get giddy. With me as always tonight is Joel Scholes. Good evening, Joel.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mr. Sale. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Hope everyone's well.
Absolutely. And Mr. Nixon.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well.
Basser Kingston in the chat with an early beer. Good lad, Basser. Welcome to another season, my friend. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. We're not going to dilly-dally, ladies and gentlemen. We've got loads to get through this evening, and we're going to start with the big debate, the Challenge Cup debate. Yes, we'll have a quick chat about this. Now, I've been riding Steph for a bit of joy and fun these last few weeks, but Steph, of course, has been on a crusade in terms of the Challenge Cup and the nature of the early rounds. We know that there's going to be a lot of other podcasts basically talking about the weekend and the big blowouts and the bad luck that it was for the sport, which of course it was. So we're going to do it a little bit different. We are going to propose a strategy. Now, of course, the 144-point plan came out by the Rugby Football League Strategic Review, and we have adopted a bit of that, but for us, they didn't go far enough. So hopefully some members of the Rugby Football League are listening. So here we go. This is the Super League Raw proposal for the Challenge Cup going forward to put some life back into the great competition that we all know that it is. This is our proposal. Here we go. So, the Challenge Cup to become a 16-team knockout competition from its inception. From its inception, folks. 13 Super League teams. You know that Toulouse has boycotted this, so they will have to earn the right to play in it again. It shouldn't be easy to be in the Challenge Cup. It should be difficult to be in the Challenge Cup. So 13 Super League teams will be in. In order to spice up the 1895 Cup, we're going to get the winner of that into the Challenge Cup. They will get, just like in football, sorry, Reg, yes, football, where the league positions and winning the FA Cup and all that gets people into Europe. The winner of the 1895 Cup will be invited to participate in the 16-team Challenge Cup. The winner of the Championship, if they have not been promoted to Super League, will be invited to play in the Challenge Cup. That would take us to 15 teams without Toulouse. Then we would have a competition for place number 16. So like it is now, all the earlier rounds, it would be a knockout competition for the championship teams only. So no more amateur sides in the Challenge Cup. Now, there'll be a lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, emotionally, it's a great day for those players, this, that, the other. Yeah, but we need to sell our sport. It needs to be competitive. And we will adopt the 144 plan that the Magic Weekend will be the first game of the season. And we will guarantee a sellout because everybody's waiting to get back in a rugby league stadium. Everybody. So you think about this. If game one, a week before Super League, was a Magic Weekend for the Challenge Cup final, and it was a round 16 comp with proper ties in it, that is an easy sell. People are gagging to get back to the rugby. The bottom line is people voted with their feet this weekend. When you're seeing attendances like 2,500 people at Halliwell Jones, you've got a problem because that is at least 8,000, maybe 7,000 short. So we need to revolutionise the Challenge Cup. It is a great tradition. We all love it. And this is our proposal. So I'm going to bring the boys in a second. High summary. Here it comes again. 16-team knockout from inception. 13 Super League teams. The winner of the 1895 Cup to give that some provenance. Winner of the Championship, if not promoted. Winner of a pre-season comp. And you'll notice there, 16 teams. There's currently 20 teams in the Championship. So that will keep the integrity of the Championship alive because, of course, you need to finish in the 16. So those bottom places in the Championship suddenly have a value. There's no point in limping bottom places. And then, of course, the Magic Weekend to be the first weekend of the new season at the first weekend in February. So everybody knows when it's going to be. First weekend every year in February, Magic Weekend, Challenge Cup, 16-team comp. Whoa, that's the proposal. I'll come to Steph last. So, what do you think? Would that put life back in to this great competition?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I do quite agree with that because it raises the bar of competition. You know, you're no longer having people just taking part because they can, but more so because they've earned it. And I think that's like anything. You know, you have a playoff competition because you've earned the right to be there throughout the season. So to have that, I think what we would do is it would reinvigorate people to have that feeling like they used to do with the Challenge Cup, where you would just, that could be the number one, you know, fixture throughout the year that you look forward to. We all are of the age of where we were when we were kids. The Challenge Cup was the ultimate thing that you were just dying to be a part of for your club, and that is the case for a lot of the English blokes. But you know, we see that a lot of the coaches are trying to instill that in the new players that come over from Oz or the Kiwis, and you can understand why they won't see the sentiment that the Challenge Cup has for us, because when you go in and you're absolutely blowing teams out the water, you know, they're not really competing for much anyway. So that negates all of that. You've got competition from day one, and you know it raises the bar of competition even in the league itself. So you are promoting the sport better because they've got to play better in the league to at least get the opportunity to play in it, bar the Super League clubs.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be earned. I mean, just quickly going into that, Jill, good evening, Jill, over there in Canada. Rochdale got the highest crowd in 30 years. Whoop-de-doo, they got battered. You know, it's a bad look for the sport. You know, all well and good. That's for the Rugby Football League. It's for the Rugby Football League to generate income. They're the governing body. They can distribute their funds wherever they want. So for me, it's for them to try and improve the 1895 Cup attendances, try and improve the Championship attendances, and then in their little pots of money that they've got here, there, and everywhere, to almost make the Super League Cups to stand a bit more alone and get a bit more money down into those levels. So for me, I appreciate that it was the biggest attendance that they got, but it's to the detriment of the sport. You know, new eyes on the sport, cricket scores like that, doesn't nobody no good. Then there's the health and safety aspect of amateur teams playing full-time professionals, which is wrong. You know, and I've said that last year and the year before. So that's what I'd say to that. But, you know, I get your point. It was 3,000. Steve Cartley's, you ever missed it? The 1895 Cup winners and the league winners were the same. Like in football, it'd go to team 2. So whoever was runner-up in the Championship gets the automatic in. Because, of course, they would take precedent over the runners-up in the 1895. Reggie, your thoughts on this, mate?
Yeah, I agree totally. It needs revamp. It needs refreshing. What it also needs is, you know, the Challenge Cup, a bit like the FA Cup in football, I've said the word again, has been a little bit denigrated by the Sky Masters because they don't, until recently, Sky didn't have the FA Cup and kind of played it down a little bit. And it's the same with Rugby League. They don't have, you know, carte blanche over the Challenge Cup. They promote the grand final. We've got, so we said in the chat, we've got Magic Weekend. We've got Vegas now. You know, we've got Dublin next year. Rugby League fans are being asked to spend more and more money each season. And I think that is an issue. But apart from that, I think something has to be done with the Challenge Cup. And that is as good a plan as any I've heard. Now, I'm not sure when would you, if playing devil's advocate now, when would you have the final if that round of 16 is the first week of the season?
It's exactly the same, isn't it? So it's the final. So the round of 16, it would be a bit earlier, but it allows you to spread the Challenge Cup games out a little bit. And you leave the final.
No, it's just a question. Just a question.
But for me, people are saying in the chat about, you know, it's cold. Well, we're going to have the highest attendance in Super League history this weekend. So and we're still in February. So
listen, we used to have winter rugby. Weather has nothing to do with it at all.
Nothing to do with it. If this was the first game of the season, the first so I mean, let's just quickly jump to it. Okay. If this was Magic Weekend, this weekend, and no other, you know, because the games hadn't, you know, the round 3 wasn't the weekend that's just gone. This was the first big hit out of the season. That is a very easy sell. You put, you know, the Leeds Wakey game at the end of day 1. You put the Lee Leopards All FC game at the end of day 2. And for me, you'd have no problem whatsoever filling that. I as a fan would tiptoe down to that Magic Weekend because I'm ready for some rugby league, and it means something. It's the Challenge Cup. It's, you know, there's a lot of games there that's absolute jeopardy. So I'd go quite happily I'd go. Yeah. And not just that, imagine the other teams, the Keighley fans, the Oldham fans, etc. They flock to it. You know, it's a great opportunity for them to get in there.
And you know, saying that, Dave, a point I was going to make is that brings the community back into the Challenge Cup a little bit. Because when we had winter rugby, Challenge Cup final was always the very last. There was no grand final. The Challenge Cup final was the very, very last game of the rugby league season. We've been through horrendous weather throughout the season. We stood on freezing cold terraces, muddy, dreadful pitches. We got to Wembley. As a kid, I can never remember a Wembley where it rained for a Challenge Cup final. And there was that sense of community. It was a celebration that we got through the winter. We got to the Challenge Cup final. Let's celebrate. And now that's the way of bringing community back into the Challenge Cup. Billy said there in the chat that it used to be the first round of the season anyway, not in winter rugby. It came in after Christmas. Right. So I think, you know, if we can get that sense of community back into the Challenge Cup that it always had, coaches from Halifax, from Keighley, from Workington and Whitehaven to watch Wigan and Saints at Wembley. Yeah. I think, let's work on that. But there needs to be buy-in from the RFL. There needs to be buy-in from TV, from radio, from news, news channels. There has to be that big buy-in into it. And if we can do that, why not? Let's go for it. It needs revamping. The fans need to be re-energized.
Yeah. And look, it's dead easy to pick the Gould-Warrington game out of that, Phil. Dead easy. You know, but come on. There's enough quality games in that round 4 to fill a Magic Weekend. And actually, Gould will get a bigger payday from that Magic Weekend than they're going to get
probably from that fourth round game against Warrington. Because again, with the greatest of respect to Gould, how many Warrington fans are going to put the queue in the rack and say, what's the point? But if it's a magic weekend where they can watch other teams and games of jeopardy, like Lee FC, like Wakey Leeds, they're going to go. Of course they're going to go. Steph, you know, I've rode you on this for a bit of sport, mate, the last few weeks, and it's been great fun. But here we go. There's a proposal for you. Over to you. Last word on this. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think my point's been proven again this weekend in terms of the point I'm trying to make with it, as it has done for the last few seasons. The gulf between Super League sides and amateur sides is too big now. This isn't football where you can put 11 men against, Man United and get a 1-1 draw. It just does not happen. And the myth of this payday is nonsense. One or two teams making a bit of money does not constitute keeping it for the rest. Yes, a couple of teams have made some money. Of course they have. But the point of Warrington's a good one against Sheffield, 2,500. That's insanity, and that is a terrible, terrible look for the sport. So I'm not prepared, and I don't want to sacrifice the good of our game for a payday for a couple of amateur sides. That doesn't float my boat at all. I don't think it's fair or rational. I think this proposal is a good one. I think what it does do is bring a change. It solves a problem where we've got this loop fixture of Magic still in the competition. We can get rid of that and replace it with this that's not in the league structure. I'd go even further with it, Dave, and I'd split it into I'd have a draw done the week of the actual Magic Challenge Cup weekend to build a bit of excitement to it, so that you don't know who you're going to play until that week. And I've heard people say, well, people don't know if it's going to be on the Saturday or the Sunday. Fine, split it into 2 pools of 8. If you're in pool A, you play on Saturday. If you're in pool B, you're going to be playing on Sunday. And then the draw is for pool A and for pool B. And then you're going to be there on the Sunday or the Saturday. That solves that one straight away. Yeah. What you would get, and like you said, the teams that have earned the right to be there, like in that instance it would be Gould, would get a bigger payday, because they'll get a split of any revenue that comes into that, which will be far more. I guarantee you, Sheffield Eagles took diddly squat from Warrington, because 2,500 wouldn't even have covered the expenses of the staff on duty that day at the Halliwell Jones after expenses, because it's not split gate, it's split profits. That's what people forget with this as well. So after expenses are taken, that's what they split. And I guarantee you, Sheffield probably had to pay for their own bus.
Well, we're going to call it there. But what I would say, Fraser, God bless you. Where would you play it if it snows? Well, most football grounds have undersoil heating now, mate, and it won't be played at Rugby League stadium.
I think his point was travelling over the Pennines.
Well, yeah, but
that was his point.
Yeah, but again, look at it at the moment. I mean, how many? No, I'm sorry, but again, it doesn't happen that much. It doesn't get blocked. The Pennines, yes, Snake Pass might have done, but not the Pennines. So, anyway,
climate change, we don't get snow anymore.
What I'm saying to you all is right. You can either keep doing what we've always done and the competition dies, but every single Rugby League fan has got an affinity with the Challenge Cup. We love this cup. It matters. It really matters. And what we've got to do is we've got to breathe life into it. And if you start with a magic weekend of 16 of teams that have earned the right to play it, and of course, then it ends at the final. Beautiful. I mean, you've got top and tail, real big events for the Challenge Cup. Breathe some life back into it. I'm going to rest my case. Let's now move on, because we've got lots to get through tonight. It's time for this. Banging or hanging? Yes, it's time for banging or hanging, folks. Let's get round this one as quickly as we can. Joel, we'll start with you as your top right on the screen. 6 subs can be named in the NRL in 2026. Of course, they can only pick from 4, and 8 interchanges remain. Banging or hanging, sir?
Yeah, I think it's banging there in case you've got very last-minute dropouts, injuries, and different things. I think that there's always a point to be had about that. Anything the NRL does always seems to turn into gold dust anyway. So I think it's a model that could clearly work out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, look, this for me, guys. I mean, banging. Would we all say that's banging? Is everybody nodding on that?
Yeah.
I think, just for the purposes of speed tonight, because we have got a lot to get through. the beautiful thing about this, folks, think about it. At the moment, traditionally over in the UK, it's 3 forwards and maybe a hooker. What it allows you to do is put a halfback on the bench. It allows you to put, a winger on the bench so that should somebody go down, we're not, the team's not, the coach doesn't have to shuffle the pack. It's a like-for-like replacement if it's in the first half, more than likely, because, of course, that's when you use your first 4 subs. And what it should do is improve the quality of the games, because you're actually being able to bring like-for-like players on in that first half, should it happen. I think that's one to watch this year. Well done to the RL. I think that's a great, great move forward. Right, Greg, coming to you. Go back to the 144 plan. Charity Shield game being muted between the grand final winners and the Challenge Cup winners. Hanging a banging, mate.
I think it's a good idea. We tried it in the late 90s, I think.
We did.
And it was always a good game. I think they tried it at grounds I'm sure they went to Dublin once. Saints and Wigan went to Dublin. I might be wrong there, but I'm sure they did. I don't think that's such a bad idea. It's kind of, as long as I think they moved to going to charities that the rugby league supports, which is I'm all for. So that's banging for me.
Yeah.
Again, let's get it played in places that don't normally see a rugby league game.
Yeah, absolutely. No dramas. Fantastic stuff. Right, Steph, coming to you. Back to the 144. We're going to stick with the 144. Wembley. Of course, the license to play Challenge Cup Rugby League at Wembley ends in 2027. And in that plan, let's look at new stadia for the Challenge Cup. Banging a hanging, mate.
Hanging for me. If you're going to have a Challenge Cup competition, it's got to be at Wembley. No one will be able to take away that memory of 2023 when Lee got there. That is the magic of the cup. Travelling to London with the family, it's a day that day. And I think if you take it away from Wembley, it loses the national presence. It's not very often rugby league in this country gets to showcase itself on the national stage at Wembley Stadium. And people say, well, it can be on BBC and that's on the national stage. Well, it is, but it's not in our national stadium. And that people take note when games are played at Wembley. And the Challenge Cup, I think that would just be ripping. If we're going to take it from Wembley, we may as well just sack it off altogether and go just let's play 26 rounds of rugby.
Yeah, and that's the danger, isn't it? There's talk of Arsenal. I'm not being funny. If you can't fill, who's going to go down to Arsenal to watch a Challenge Cup final? The whole point, as a one-off, okay, when they moved it around to Tottenham and stuff, but no, it has to be Wembley, or else we're surrendering rugby league as a national entity. That's what we're doing. That for me, I think we'd all agree is a bit of a.
Can I just make a point that Carla brought up about Charity Shield? That what if, like last few seasons, a team's won the Challenge Cup and the league, then the runners up plays in it, like they do in football.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Mr. Nixon, well done for spotting Carla. And by the way, Carla, exceptional Carla at the moment on the new ladies tackle talk. You wouldn't believe he had to basically force her into doing that show. Incredible Carla, legend. Well done, you. Right, let's carry on. Joel, in the 144 was an 8-team playoff series. Now, if it was to remain at 14 teams, would you want an 8-team playoff series, 14 teams?
Not 14. If we increase it to 16 or 17 and copy NRL, then yeah, you've got a case for it. But the thing is, what you're doing is you're diluting the competition a little bit. It gives people opportunity to be a little bit more lax, and we don't want that. We want the competition to be stronger. I know for forever it's been 12 teams and top 6. So some may argue, well, if you go to 14, then you can go to 8. But I don't think it has the same feel when you have more teams and then the ratio's less to playoff spots. I think it just makes you play that much stronger. Look how well we're going to see later when we do those predictions, just how difficult it's going to be to choose your 1 to 6. It's very, very hard this year. Yeah. Whereas last year and the previous years, it wasn't that difficult. So, yeah, I think that would be something that would need to expand the league before we did that.
Yeah, and Gary Hutchinson in the chat saying, a team can get into the 8 if they lose more than they win. And he's right. You know, you can't be having that. For me, I think they've got it bang on this year. I think it's going to make for an incredible comp, a 16 playoff series with the competitiveness of what we expect it to be. I think we're in for a treat in the latter end of this season. And if it's not broken, then don't fix it. I agree with you, Joel. If it expands further, then okay. But at this moment in time at 14, will we all agree it's a hanging decision to go to 8 teams in a 14
definitely.
season?
Yeah. You can't have 50%. You can't have a 50% ratio of, you know, the top 8, the top 6, the top 8 in a 16 league team, whatever, going into a playoff series at the end.
And you know, people say, well, what about the World Club Challenge if we have a Charity Shield? Well, we still play the World Club Challenge.
Yeah. I personally would play the World Club Challenge at Vegas.
Absolutely. And that for me, again, is hopefully where the two hemispheres talk, because what better place to have that clash? And again, it doesn't, it doesn't hurt. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. Well done. Right, Greg, we'll stay with you. Women's Challenge Cup final to become a standalone entity away from Wembley. I think they'll be there this year, but it sounds to me like they want the women like the 1895 Cup away from the Men's Challenge Cup. Are you saying that is hanging or banging, sir?
I'm not sure on this one. I've thought a lot about this one because I know, speaking to Jodie Cunningham when Zoe signed for Saints, the kind of the magic that Wembley had for that team and the kind of the prestige of them walking out at Wembley and opening up for the men. It's what they were playing towards, and I just don't know whether it would be discouraging for women's teams not to have it at Wembley. So I'm not hanging, I'm not banging. I know what they're saying. Take it away from Wembley and try and build the crowds.
Yeah.
If that's going to happen, hopefully, pray to God that in 10 years' time, the women's game can pull crowds and has got the exposure or more exposure, more crowds. If it builds it up in the short term to enable it to go back to Wembley long term, then perhaps, I'll agree with it. But knowing how having that goal of getting to Wembley for the women players, listening to how Jodie spoke about it, for me, it's something that they all kind of aspire to. And again, they've been in the shadow of the men's game for so long. It gives them, again, another step on that ladder to kind of get in parity with the men's game. So if it benefits the game in the long run, then yes, let's do it. But if it's just to move it away from there and to disparage the women's game, I don't know. I'm not sure. So I'm getting splinters in my bum on that one. I'm on the fence.
Well, I still think that the best way of growing the women's game is to make double headers. In the short term. That's I've said that many a time. Right, back to Steph. Steph, worst kept secret in the world has happened. Owen Trout will be saying Sarah to the Leopards at the end of the season. Off to Cronulla Sharks. Banging or hanging, I know what you're going to do. You're going to say both for different reasons. Go on, mate.
Yeah, no, I'll be cliche. It is banging for a win. It's obviously gutting for us as Leigh fans, but
no, hanging. Use the right terminology, not gutting.
Sorry, hanging for Leigh. Obviously, he's still a young player, and obviously just got into the international side as well. So that will be a massive loss from any team. So obviously that's gutting, but it's an opportunity for Leigh to find another Owen Trout. But for him personally, thoroughly deserved. Another back rower. The NRL just seems to be picking up more and more of our back row English talent, don't they? So, good luck to him, and he's been great for us, and hopefully he has another big season for the Leopards before he goes.
Absolutely, catching has never been a problem, but the keep net's looking a little bit cut open at this moment in time at the Leopards. Right, okay, Mr. Scholes, this is going to make you happy. Payne Haas to the Souths, mate. How's that one coming out of the NRL? Payne Haas going to South Sydney Rabbitohs. That's a banger, isn't it?
It definitely is. I don't know what's happening past 2 or 3 years, but the Souths are needing something because it's not the team that they were 5 years ago. That's for sure.
No.
And it's painful because Souths are rich in rugby league history. They're one of the big clubs historically, but they've not been playing like big clubs recently. So that'll be a good. That's a banger. That's definitely.
I agree. It's a big one, and of course, Payne should be playing hopefully in the World Cup Challenge. And then finally, boys, I think we're all going to say this is banging. You lucky Saints fans, you. Hey, first game of the season, and members are going to get a free pint of Lost Lager. Hey, banging. Go on, you Saints Ellis fans. You must be over the moon. Over the moon. What a great shout that is from the Saints. Brilliant stuff. Bit of Brewdog. Go on. Loving it. Well done to them. Right, okay. Great stuff. Well done, boys. We got through that pretty quickly. And that's why we keep banging and hanging, because we can get through the news really quick and keep the momentum going. Keep the chats going. Right, in the chat, I'll go there early. Thoughts on Halifax? We're not going there. We're going to do that tomorrow as part of this Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. If you haven't got it yet, then make sure tomorrow night at 7 p.m, Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. on YouTube, Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard and myself. We will be talking all things Halifax Panthers on that show, because that's the right place to do it. Of course, we would all agree that it's a bit of a hanger, but we will get into the detail of that with Craig as a part of Championship Rugby League. So thanks very much indeed for that, but that's where we're going to be doing it. Hopefully you understand why. Okay, right, boys, we're going to start doing predictions. Of course, it's the show before round one, so this is where we put our predictions on the line. We're going to be doing this throughout the show, and we're going to start with Young Player of the Year. We've all decided who we're going to back, and this is the selections that we've come up with. Here we go. Young Player of the Year. I've gone for Harry Robertson. Both Greg and Steph have gone for George Flanagan, and Joel has gone for Owen Dagnall. Boys, that is how we have voted for Young Player of the Year. 3 incredible talents. For me, Robertson, I think could go back to back. That's why I've gone with him. He was exceptional last season. He's got, Flanagan had a great year, but I don't think he's going to get as many games. Owen Dagnall, brilliant last season. Don't get me wrong. Again, how many games is he going to get? It is probably going to be his first full season in Super League. Whereas for me, Harry's got the jump on him because he's now an established starter at Saints, and that's why I've gone Harry Robertson. If Harry Robertson gets the amount of games they expect him to get and continues his progression, he could go back to back, and what a feat that would be. Mr. Nixon, you've gone for Master Flanagan. Why have you gone for him?
Because I think he probably will get a lot of games this season, because is it Niall Evans they brought in there at number 1, got the number 1 shirt.
Yeah.
I think he might play more than he doesn't Flanagan this year. He's a dynamic player. He is, he runs it back well. I think sometimes he's got a little bit of things to learn, and Joel probably either agree or disagree on this one. Still got kind of little things to learn about the game, positioning sometimes at fullback and following the ball across the line. It's been called out a couple of times when he's played there, but apart from that, I think this is his season to shine. Somebody's put Kai Taylor-Ray in the chat. I think it might be Kai's time next season. But same as George Flanagan last season was kind of blooded gently. I think this season, I think he will play more games. And for me, he's one of the most exciting young players. Like Harry Robertson and like Dagnall and like Whitby, even I'll get there in the end. But I just think George Flanagan, I think, this is his time, and I think he'll go well this season.
You've gone the same way, Steph. Anything you want to add?
No, I completely concur with what Reggie said. The main reasons I went for him, he had a fantastic burst on the scene season last year. I expect Huddersfield to be a lot better this year with hopefully not as many injuries, and he's going to be a key player for that. And I can see him being Huddersfield's best player, which would firmly put him in the category of, if not the Young Player of the Year, at least in the top 3.
Fair enough. Shortlist. He's a shortlister minimum. And Joel, not going with George, going with Owen Dagnall. No doubt about it. If he gets the game time, the boy can finish. Talk to us about your pick, mate.
Yeah, so I was actually tying between George and Owen. The reason why I went for Owen was because I feel like Niall Evans can't have the same year that he had this last year. And if he does, then it's George's year next year, because George could quite easily get the 1 spot if Niall has another injured season. The reason why I went for Owen, though, was more because last year, for me, he was just prolific. Every time he had the ball in his hands, something good came of it. And he has what George has, and is that good natural rugby brain, and you can tell when a player has that. And Owen Dagnall, for me, he just shone last year. And I understand that he may not get as much game time, but when he does, he's going to make it count. Because he is wanting to plant himself in that first team, as is Harry done, as you've said, Dave. But I think Owen's going to really, really put put some sharp through that sword this year if he gets chance.
Mate, I think we'd all agree. We're all looking forward to seeing Owen Dagnall. I thought he was exceptional last year. And I have to say, I've got to put this one on the screen. What a name. Russian Lizard 94. If you're going to have a YouTube name, do it with a bit of flair. Go on, lad. He doesn't think that Dagnall and Flanagan will get enough games. But that's the first time I've seen Russian Lizard watching Super League Raw. Whoever you are, welcome to Super League Raw. Boys, we're going to keep going through our predictions as the show goes on. But now we're going to get to something that is very, very important. Very important. Okay? And I've been here for the last couple of weeks, but we're now getting close to D-Day. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 18th of February, we're at the Bluebell, and we're at the Bluebell with many guests from in and around Super League. We've got, tentatively, can't confirm it yet, but we've got people on the fringes. Ebony Pape, Jodie Cunningham, Tara Jones, to name but a few. We know that Wigan are going to support it now. Lee are going to support it. So there's more. It could be this time next week that we give you the full lineup. At this moment in time, guaranteed in the room is Danny Walker, Steve McNamara, George Whitby, and George Flanagan. They are in the room. We are going to get other players as well. There is going to be more on the day. I guarantee it. You don't want to miss it. £12.50. You get a hot pot supper in this, right? You get to meet the players. We're going to have raffle. Memorabilia is going to be in the raffle. It's going to be a really good night of fun and entertainment. But we need you to come. Now, I'm going to leave the QR code straight to where you can buy your tickets on the screen. If these two videos don't make you want to come, I don't know what will. We're going to hear from the man himself, Little Alfie, the brave Little Alfie. What a champion lad this kid is. And then we're going to hear from his dad. Now, any parent out there, how would you feel if at 3 years of age you were told that your son had a life-limiting condition? Let me tell you now, this family have handled this with so much strength and courage. They deserve all of our support. Rugby League is a family. We do it for the players. Let's do it for each other. This is Alfie Sales and his dad, Kieran. We'll be back shortly.
Hi everyone, my name is Alfie Sales. And I have a condition called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We're just weeks away from a special Super League Raw event, a brilliant evening for fans of all ages. You can expect great atmosphere with appearances from Super League stars like Danny Walker, George Whitby, George Flanagan, Steve McNamara. Hopefully we'll get some of my favourite league players to appear too. Hopefully, there will be food, fun, a live auction and a raffle with some great prizes. Tickets are available now. So if you love rugby, good company and a lively community, this is the place to be. We'd love you to join us at the Bluebell in Warrington on Wednesday, the 18th of February. It's going to be fantastic evening and you will be supporting my wish list at the same time. Bye bye everyone. Hope you enjoyed.
Hi everyone, I'm Kieran, Alfie's dad. As you know, Dave and the Super League Raw guys have organised Alfie's wishlist fundraiser on Wednesday the 18th of Feb, which is over at the Bluebell in Warrington. Now, as you know, Alfie's an absolute superstar, and you've all taken him under your wing with such love and care. You know, the messages that we get are just absolutely amazing. So, we can't thank you guys enough for all the support that you've given us so far. I am doing this video a little bit like Alfie. I've created myself a little script, so forgive me if I just keep looking away from the screen, but it's the only way I can remember everything. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the journey from my perspective as Alfie's dad. Now, I know journey's a little bit X factor, but it's something, if you've read my blog, that's something that I kind of refer to in a jokey manner, in a light-hearted way, because it's a bit cringy really. But talking about Alfie's diagnosis, nobody can prepare you as a parent for a diagnosis like Alfie's. He was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a progressive muscle wasting disease. So he was just 3 years old, and that was in 2018. From an early age, he couldn't sit up straight, he didn't crawl, he was delayed with speech, he was more or less delayed with everything in terms of like meeting his goals from that age. And we were actually told at the time, he's a boy, he'll catch up. He was under physio, and they said he had a weakened core. And it took us about a year to get an appointment with a paediatrician. It got lost in the system. But then once we had that initial appointment, our lives just changed forever. It's totally heartbreaking, to hear that your child has a life-limiting illness. And at that time, for me personally, I think you kind of grieve for the life that you thought you might have. Especially like as a dad, the dad and lad moments, whether that be watching him play his first football game or just running around carefree playing with his mates, that's kind of, taken away in some respect. But with Alfie, how resilient he is, how stubborn he is, what he's like, his condition doesn't fully allow him to do those things. And as much as we can wrap him up in cotton wool, being the resilient lad that he is, he just doesn't let him phase it. He doesn't let it phase him. He cracks on. He knows when his body's had enough, he'll stop and he'll take a rest or he'll use his wheelchair. So he is aware of that. And one thing I've always said that, if you're in our position or if you're in a position as a parent, you either sink very fast or you swim the channel. That's what I liken it to. And for me, it's always been about making the best out of a terrible situation that we found ourselves in. But it's about turning the negatives into, the most amazing positives. And Dave and the rest of the team have given us some great opportunities. And the night that we're at the Bluebell is just fantastic to, that everybody wants to come together and support Alfie's wish list. For me personally, I literally chase every fantastic experience I can get, for Alfie and the family. It's been my aim really, since his diagnosis, to just get the best experience that we can. And I think really it's kind of like we've done things that we might not have done if Alfie didn't have a diagnosis like Duchenne. It kind of pushes you to live your best life, and I've just no shame in asking for things, to be honest. The worst they can say is no. I never thought I had it in me to run a half marathon, and I did in 2023. And knowing that I was doing it for a charity that supported Alfie just drove me over the finishing line, and it helped me raise £3,000 for Muscular Dystrophy UK. So it kind of just pushes you to do things that you never thought you had in. You find an inner strength really. Anyway, we'd love for you all to come along on the 18th, support Alfie's cause, help make a difference for Alfie. The money that we raise will go to creating fantastic experiences that's on his wish list. I know some of them we've already done, which you guys have helped us achieve. If you can't be there, still, feel free to buy a ticket. I'm sure somewhere we can enter into a raffle. If you can come, that would be fantastic, and we hope to see you there. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for all your support. See you soon. Bye.
So there you go. I found that really hard to watch. I'm sure you guys do as parents. This is a small thing that will make a big difference. You have got the opportunity of letting that little lad have some incredible memories with his mum and dad, and actually having some entertainment thrown in and the opportunity to win some great prizes. It's going to be an unbelievable night, 18th of February. If you're on the podcast, then please visit our website, www.superleagueraw.com. Get your tickets. Please come and support us. It's it just means so much. So thanks very much indeed for watching that, folks. Really appreciate it. Get your tickets. It'd be great to see you at the Bluebell in a week's time. Right, boys, let's try and get back to rugby league. But yeah, let's go to Toulouse Olympique. This is their side going into the 2026 season. Let's take a quick look at this one. I'll tell you what, with the rumours of Mark Percival, I'll probably ask one of you this in a bit, actually. Mark Percival potentially leaving Saints. Here at Toulouse, wouldn't be a bad shout, would it? But anyway, let's look at the team. I'm going to give this my best shot. Ollie Ashelbot, remember him from his Huddersfield days? He's at number 1. Paul Olberg, he's at 2. Ruben Reni is at 3. Paul Macron is at 4. Benjamin Laguerre is 5. Thomas Lacan is at 6. Jake Shorrocks 7. Lambert Belmas is at 8. Brandon Hands is at 9. James Romanos, he's at 10. Maxine Stefani is 11. Machu Jazami is at 12. Anthony Marion, the captain, is at 13. Callum Cahan is at 14. Joe Cater, people remember him from Hull FC days, he's at 15. Joe Breverton, 16. Rob Butler, he's been around as our Rob, hasn't he? He is at 17. 18, great name, Baptiste Rodriguez, loving that one, outstanding stuff. 19, Romeo Trapeze. 20, AJ Wallace, of course, come from Hull KR. Ellis Gillam, he's at 21. Henry O'Kane, 22. Tyler Dupree, 23. Pierre Jean Lima is at 24. At 25 is Luke Paulselli. At 26 is Trevor Schifolo, or Schifoli, I think it's something like that anyway. 27, Hugo Caragas. At 28, Mathieu Pons. And at 29, Cesar Rouge from the Catalan Dragons. Now, boys, it's fair to say not many of those will be known to many people. This is a squad that I think all of us are scratching our heads. Is it strong enough? Is it not? It is littered with French players. Joe, let's start there. 14 of the 29 players are French. So, you know, if they go well, it's good. It's good for the French international game, isn't it? But like I say, with 14 Frenchmen, we've seen what England have done against France in internationals. What's your thoughts?
I've got to say what I see. On paper, it looks like the weakest squad in the league.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say that they're going to be the weakest, because you don't need to have the best players. You need to have the best team. And we know that, we don't expect Toulouse to do anything miraculous this season. But if they can just take a few scalps, even if it's for the ones that have been promoted around them, then I think that can be almost a good season for them. So, you know, you look there, I can speak of Ollie Ashelbot because I've seen him firsthand for many a season at Huddersfield. I think he's a cracking player. Never wanted him to leave Huddersfield. So I think it's great that they've got him. They've got Tyler Dupree. And then, of course, players like AJ Wallace, Cesar Rouge, you know, players that have been in and around the Super League, be it maybe towards the latter end of their career. I think Toulouse have done well with what they have. They've put the best squad together that they can get at the moment. And if the likes of Percival becomes available, I think they need to try the very best to get him, because it would help lift that squad. It's not a squad that's going to compete for a top 6. You know, that's almost a guarantee. But for Toulouse, a good season, I think, would be getting a few wins for those who are in and around the position where we're going to possibly have them predicted to be.
Yeah, I mean, Steph, bring you in here. I mean, look, Sylvain Hulasz has pretty much kept faith with a lot of the players that got him the grand final win in the championship. We've just seen Challenge Cup round 3 and the gulf between championship and Super League. On that basis, are you concerned for Toulouse?
Joel says I don't think they're the strongest by any means, but what they have got is that cohesion. They're a squad already, and they've added to that with some pretty decent players in terms of Cesar Rouge and Tyler Dupree. Joe Cater, bar injuries, I think could have been a top player. So it'd be interesting to see how Joe goes this year as well for them. I think the other thing that we've not talked about there is the travel. Going to Toulouse is going to be difficult for a lot of teams. A bit like we say, it's difficult going down to Catalan. So that is a factor for their home games. Obviously, they've got the reciprocal point of that, with them having to travel away to England every other week. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Like I say, a lot of unknown players in that to many people in Super League. So, do I think they're going to do anything other than bottom four? Probably not. But I do think they'll get a lot closer games than what people think.
I just want to say a big thank you. We have had 7 people buy to come to the Alfie Do, and we're still on air. So I'll put that QR code up again a bit later. But thank you very much for those people that have gone on and have bought the tickets as we've been talking. Thank you very much. It'll mean the world to the family. Thank you so much, Mr. Nixon. Like I said, Mark Percival. Before you talk Percival though, Benjamin Laguerre. Benjamin Laguerre last season, 23 appearances, 22 tries in Championship Rugby League. It's not a bad effort. So that's good by any standard. That's good. So there's a bit of the unknown in this. I said, it's not like they should be completely discounted. But I think if you put Mark Percival in that centre, one of those centre positions, it would strengthen them considerably.
Listen, mate, if you put a fit Mark Percival in most Super League teams, he would benefit that team. The problem is Mark Percival has had a problem in recent years in staying fit. Yeah. And like everybody said, and there's not a lot more I can add to this, they're an unknown quantity. They could cause a couple of shocks. If they can beat a couple of the teams that are going to be around them, like the newly promoted sides, then I think I'm with Joel that's a successful season for them. They are an unknown quantity. Joe Cater, if he can get through a season injury free and be the player that he can be, they've got a real star in the making there. Rob Butler's got some Super League experience in Warrington. He was kind of a rising star at London and maybe lost his way a little bit in that Warrington team that lost the way a little bit. As you say, Laguerre knows his way to the try line. Abdul Stott, I can't speak to Ashol Bott. Again, a decent player who did a really good job at Huddersfield. An unknown quantity, but fair play for including, a fair few French players in there, and that can only benefit French Rugby League.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. That is the Toulouse Olympique side. And, of course, they've got a tricky task. They're off to Wakefield at the weekend. That will be a very, very difficult game indeed for the travelling Toulouse players. But we have got Sylvain Houlez, a special interview with Sylvain Houlez on the Captain's Run this Thursday. More about the Captain's Run a little bit later in the show. Right, okie dokie. Let's move on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why wouldn't you want to become a member here at Super League Raw? We've got so many good things coming your way in 2026. We don't sell magazines. All your money goes back in. It's all good fun. But ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that we're doing this year is a brand new prediction league, and we've partnered up with Super Brew. We've already got circa 80 people playing this little beauty, but the prizes are only for members, and let me tell you, the prizes are absolutely superb. Why not join the fun? All you need to do is go over to the Super Brew site and just punch in Super League Raw. Dead easy to play. Ask to join our league table. It's a very, very simple system. You select the team that you want to win, and then it pops up with a margin. You select your margin, you lock it in, and there you go. The prizes are going to be outstanding. The winner, the member who wins the Prediction League this season, will get a £250 contribution to their 2027 season ticket. The runner-up will get a replica shirt, and the third place will get a 2027 Super League Raw hoodie. There will also be spot prizes every month for the best performing player. So you want to be a part of this, folks. Great prizes, and of course all the other benefits of being a member, the WhatsApp group, being a part of the shows, etc. Come and join the fun. You know it makes sense. If you want to join this prediction comp, there is the QR code. Boys, you've got to get involved in this, but it should be a great competition, and it's fitting that the big prizes go on this one this year, Joe.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's the standout prediction show for us. that we'll be doing, and it's good to be on a that you can have an app. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, if I'm honest, but once we got there, I think it'll be interesting. And the more people that join up to it, the better, because it just makes it more interesting. And we need to know last year's people off the top spots that had the chance.
It's very straightforward. At the bottom, once you've joined, it's like it's matches or predictions. You click on that, it'll give you this week's ties. And all you do is select the shirt, the one that you think is going to win. Once you select the shirt, it then tells you predict a margin that they'll win by, lock it in, done. Very, very straightforward. Nige Bennett, thank you very much indeed. Nige has gone in on Super Chats. He wants us to top up our glasses. Nige, I will absolutely take that as read. All the very best to you, sir. But yeah, become a part of the Prediction League. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this on the podcast, the details for the Prediction League, just go to Super Brew, as it sounds, Super and then BRU. Dead easy. Join up. Select the pool for Super League Raw and become a part of this competition. Who knows, you could be a winner in 2026 with Super League Raw. Oh, it's all getting... Hey, if we're doing prediction leagues and things like that, it must be close to starting. That's the dog saying hello. Right, whilst the dog's saying hello, Greg, talk us through our Man of Steel predictions. Here we go.
Okay. So Dave has gone. Dave, you've gone for our friend from St Helens, the fullback there. Me, I've gone for Jackson Hastings, Lytton with Steph, and Bevan French, Joel, Mr. Wellesby there for Dave. Some great selections there. You know, Wellesby's got a lot to prove, a hell of a lot to prove. After
hang on a minute. Whoa! Don't talk about my pick. Talk about your own.
You told me to chat about.
Yeah, well, not about mine, about your own. Come on, talk about Jackson Hastings.
I thought you were telling the dog to be quiet.
I did, and now I'm telling you to talk about Jackson Hastings.
No, you're telling me to be quiet.
No, you can talk about Jackson Hastings. Come on, go.
Right, okay, Jackson Hastings. It was a toss-up between him and Tyson Smoothie, I've got to say. But as you'll see from my predictions later on, I think Saints are going to do really, really well this season. And I think Jackson Hastings, I think he's their little secret ingredient that will actually be the spark that kind of gets them to where they haven't been for a few seasons. So apologies, Dave. I do apologise for stealing your thunder there. But I think Jackson Hastings, he's come back into the comp. It's a comp he loves. It's a comp he knows well. It's a comp he's always really done well in, especially Salford. Maybe, you know, some could point at Wigan. Maybe he was he wasn't the big fish in a little pond, and that's not being disrespectful to Salford in any way. But I think, you know, he's been away from the comp a little while. He'll be eager to get back. He is, for me, the key that could very well project Saints onto greater things this season.
Could also be the key that opens the door.
Indeed.
Anyway, let's go to Steph. Steph, you've gone Jez Lytton. I think a lot of people will go Jez Lytton. He is, without doubt, a popular name that's floating about post last season in the Ashes. Over to you, sir.
Well, first and foremost, very small as Reggie's head. Why is his head so small on
that pitch? Steph, I'm only little. Stop that.
Yeah,
that's life size, that Steph.
For the purposes of the podcast, we've got our faces on there, and to be fair, probably got probably got the size of Greg quite wrong. But anyway, that's bad.
No, I think in proportion, mate, you're quite right there.
Yeah, you must be. I think you're far away. Anyway, over to you, Steph.
Yeah, sorry about that. Jez, I think if it weren't for the changes to the Man of Steel format was selected, I don't think Jez would have stood a chance, mainly because of the talent that's in KR at the moment, and particularly Mikey Lewis will be taking lots of points off him. However, with the new system, for me, last year, Jez Lytton was the best player in Super League. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and I think this year he's going to get the recognition he deserves if he backs up from last year, which I've no doubt that he will. I think he's going to be the best hooker in the competition this year again. And I do see a very good possibility that he could end up as Man of Steel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think great. The bench this week as well, Davey Lytton and Jez Lytton. If you haven't listened to that, folks, of course we're putting a lot of podcasts out there, but it is a good listen. Jenna Brooks, the bench with Jez and Davey Lytton this week. Joel, You've gone with superstar Bevan French. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to it last year, and I know Steph said it as well, that had he played, a few more matches, he would have been very much within the shout of having it. He's an absolute pure, as we would call, thoroughbred superstar in Super League. He has been the best player thus far for a few years. That may change with the likes of Jez Litton, who were absolutely electric last year and no doubt going to do great things this year. And then, some of the other Aussie signings that we've got in, Smoothie and the likes of. So I think it's going to be a tighter competition, but I think you can't not shout Bevan out for this because he is such a great player. And regardless where we're going to finish at the end of this year, Bevan is going to do Bevan things, and he is just going to be a wonderful player to watch.
Yeah, let's hope Bevan does do Bevan things, because as you say, box office, sir. Box office. We're less than 48 hours away. Come on! Super League is back. Anyway, Jack Wellesby, well, I've got to tell you what, I had Hastings, and then I saw Greg go Hastings. I thought, maybe not. I had Lockie Lamb in there for a bit. I thought, should it be Lockie this year? Could be. If we have a good season, it could be Lockie. But I went with Wellesby. Why did I go with Wellesby? I went with Wellesby because after the Ashes, if there's a player that is going to be revved up for this season, it's Jack Wellesby. After what happened in Ashes 1, he will want to go to the World Cup. He's got a coaching Paul Roller that, for me, is going to play expansive, which will create space for Jack Wellesby. And I think Wellesby could be a big, big shout. I mean, a lot of people going to go Miller and Field for Dream Team. Don't discount Jack Wellesby for Dream Team. I could be wrong. I just think he's got a point to prove. There's one for the bingo sheet, Greg. He's got a point to prove, and I just think that Jack Wellesby could do it. But hey, we could be wrong. But there you go. They're locked in. We'll see how we go with them at the end of the season. I did say it's a monster show tonight. We've got so much more still to do. We're about halfway through now. So what we're going to do now, as promised, we're going to hear from 3 coaches. We're going to hear from John Cartwright. We're going to hear from Mark Applegarth. And we're going to hear from Adrian Lam. So sit back, enjoy as we get some insight into the preparations for the 2026 season by 3 coaches who all will be hoping for a great season this year. Here we go. So here we are with John Cartwright, Hull FC head coach. And John, it's fair to say that in 25 we saw a real improvement in FC. It's time to go again. The fans will demand a further improvement. Made some good signings. How confident the group?
Yeah, we can't be happy with that. I think at the start of the year, a lot of people within the game would have thought that was a pass for the season. Just as the season unrolled, I started to think that maybe we could go a little bit better than what people thought. So at the end of the year, we just had been able to be a little bit more consistent at home. I think we played finals footy. So, like I said, we can't be happy with the season last year. I think there was a lot of good signs, but I think anyone who didn't make the 6 will say the same thing, that they had good signs. So, really tight competition, hard to break into that top 4 to 6 teams, but we've improved on paper. Another year together, players a year older and wiser. So a lot to be positive about. Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was a lot to be positive. I think injuries came at the wrong part. That running, you were hit with key figures going down. Herman, we love the Hermanator at Super League Raw. That's what we call him. When would we expect him back? Oh, look, he's probably looking more towards the end of April. It was a really major injury, the Achilles. Yeah. And it happened towards the end of the year. So he's training really hard. He's doing everything he possibly can to get back as early as he can. But he's a big lad, so it's weight bearing. So it's going to take him a little bit longer than maybe the average. But he'll be out there, when he's 100% right. Well, send him our best wishes. We want Herman back on the field as soon as possible. A new halfback combination, exciting. Obviously bringing young Arthur over. How's that combo been going in training? Are they going to light up Super League for you, do you think? Yeah, they've been the time they've spent together, which has been limited because Aiden's had some post-season surgery. Yep. Jake had a bit of a hamstring problem when he got here, but they've had the last month together. Really exciting. both experienced. Jake's been around a while now. Left foot, right foot kicker. They're big for halves, big bodies, good defenders. So yeah, a lot to like
at the moment. Absolutely, and David Armstrong coming back will be like a new signing.
Yeah.
Of course, you missed him at the back end of last year. Like I say, I think you've got real depth in areas. But if I may, the one thing we spoke last night on our show, we looked at your ins and outs and we tried to assess the squad.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of noise, and I agree a little bit with it. I'll be very honest with you. The only position for me that looks as if maybe one addition would just go, there you go, now Leah, is front row. I know you've got Owen that can slip in there, but every other position, the three quarters, the half backs, you've got cover, full back, you've got cover, back row, you've got cover. But if you was to lose a Robbie, if you was to lose a Joe, as much as you could shuffle the pack, it would be moving pieces around. Now, I heard you the other week say that you're still on the look. Is that a position that you're looking at, or am I right? Am I wrong?
I'll let you work that out.
Yeah, I'm not a million miles off, maybe.
You're on the right track. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've been quite astute with our recruitment and retention over the last 5 years, and it's something that, again, I pride ourselves on, finding players that no one else can sort of see and developing them. So, we're pretty excited about that. But I do have a couple of young front rows that are slowly taking that step forward, which I'm excited about too. And we've got. I'm with you. I think we've probably got our strongest squad we've had, and probably one or two positions short of where we need to be. But that's open. We're always got our ears and eyes out to see what we can add.
Well, it's that young Ollie who was out at Salford. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. There'll be a lot of focus on Lockie and Adam and their combination. Everybody was surprised to see Ethan O'Neill leave.
Yeah.
But I have to say, having seen his highlight reel and having seen him in pre-season, your new second rower looks a bit of an handful, Adrian. So I think that could be. He could be. I love a forward.
Yeah.
I love a forward. I love the grunt of the game. Yeah. I'm excited to see his season.
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. I mean, I tried to get him to replace John Asiato when John went, and we nearly got him, but he wanted to stay home. So I've chased him every year to get him, to be honest with you. So we've got him now, and I've watched him since he was 16 years old, Jacob. So I'm really excited about him. I've mentioned before he's got a little bit of Piers Paul about him, Kai Piers Paul, but he's also quite skillful too. He can play that 13 role where we can move about. So and we don't let too many players go and not replace them with better. So that's where we're at with that, and I'm looking forward to him. I think Liam Horn's going to be a great addition to the squad. I think in a senior outside of Lockie Lamb will do an incredible job, and I think people won't see where he'll get to levels he's not been at before, and the list goes on. Adam Cook will be outstanding with Lockie, so pretty excited. But it's going to take time, bringing in new faces and new players. Sometimes people think, well, that's it, but they've still got to play a part within that group, and there's a lot of hard work that doesn't guarantee you success. So we've got to work hard at how we bring those players together as well.
And it's early days, but we get into the detail. We have a show on a Thursday night called The Captain's Run, where we get into the stats and the analytics.
Yep.
And one of the things that we kept bringing up last year about Lee was conversions, goal kicking. It was an Achilles heel.
Yep.
The stat you weren't down the pecking order on a lot of stats, but that particular one you were. And that's no disrespect.
We were last.
Well, I didn't want to say that. I was trying to be nice. But that's no disrespect to Gareth, who's a great pro. He's a great pro, Gareth O'Brien. But Mr. Cook kicked some nice ones at Warrington the other night, didn't he?
It was interesting. Part of the recruitment with him was the kicking. So that had to play a part in that scenario. So we're hoping, mate, that we score plenty more tries and we kick plenty more goals. But yeah, he's an 80% plus goal kicker.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what I like about what you've done, Mark? And I have to say this. When teams come up, and we've seen this, and not just when teams come up, there's a tendency in British Super League to make, to go and get imports of the halfbacks and to change the halfbacks for Super League. You've not done that. You've kept the faith 7 and 6.
Yeah.
They were brilliant last year for you. How well do you think that they can adapt now to Super League? Because I think that combination could be one of the surprises of the season for people who don't know York.
Yeah, listen, Atta and Liam were a massive part of what we did last year, and then you throw in on top of that, you've got Danny Richardson, Nick Al Williams, who people won't know a lot about.
Yeah, that's right.
Cody Hunter, Will Roberts, in the Newcastle setup. There's a great mix of youth experience in there. Atta's obviously had a taste Super League before, He knows that he didn't showcase himself as well as he feels he can, so he's got that burning ambition to improve. And Liam's the same. He had a taste when he was a kid at Hull FC. Obviously came and rebuilt his career at York, and I can't speak highly enough of the man as my captain and also as a halfback. And I feel them two, along with the players that I've just named, deserve an opportunity to showcase their talent.
And you've got a couple of real old timers in there, Paul and Ben Jones-Bishop, etc. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people out there saying these guys are too old for Super League, the time has passed, and they're questioning that decision. But it's not just what they're going to bring on the field, is it? Because you've got a new group, their experience off the field, in the dressing room, there's a bit of that at play as well, isn't there, in terms of you've got to have that balance of experience and youth, haven't you?
Yeah, I think for where we're at as a club, 100%. I think you'd be naive to think any otherwise. You've got to have them players that's been there and done that. I mean, just speaking of them two that you've just mentioned there, I can't speak highly enough. Paul McShane, he's probably, even now, the most competitive player we have on that training field. Wants to win at everything, whether that's fitness drills, whether that's a game, a 7v5 small-sided game, he's there. He treats that like a grand final, which says a lot for why he's still running around doing what he's doing now. Ben Jones-Bishop, I say it all the time, but just an absolute Rolls Royce of a winger. Just gets better with age, doesn't he? I think he was the top try scorer in the championship last year.
You're not wrong.
And he may have lost a yard of pace, which he'd probably argue against, but he's definitely not lost any of that sharpness with his mind that Bish is known for. And some of his positioning, both attack and defence is great. And he's not only what he's going to do on the field from a winging point of view, but also you think of all that experience and that knowledge that he's dripping onto them players around him. It's just a win-win situation, isn't it?
So there you go. There was Mark Applegarth at the end. Of course, we've heard there from John Cartwright and from Adrian Lam as well, boys. So, Joe, what was very impressed with where John Cartwright was concerned was disappointed with 2025. I mean, we all said, and I think everybody would agree, he'd probably agree as well, massive improvement from Hull FC last season. But you heard him there. He was disappointed in the end. He felt he should have been playoff Rugby League at the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your coach. You want them to have that belief and that urgency about the players that they need to be in and around them spots. I think if a coach wasn't saying them things, I think you'd be worried and want him out the door. But John seems to be a great coach. He's definitely done well with last year with Hull that he did. They did better than we all expected them to at the start. Or certainly I did anyway. I think I liked what he said about Herman. The fact that, he's very injured right now, but he's doing everything he can to make sure he gets him back, sooner rather than later. Clearly, that's somebody who has the best interest of the players at heart. And they're the kind of players that will play for the coach. So, very excited to see how Hull get on this year. They've got a massive forward pack. Interested with the new rules, how that'll go. It'll either go really well or not as well. But John's not thick. He knows what he's doing. And very excited to see what he does with his players this year.
Yeah, agreed. Steph, me and you spoke over the Adrian Lam interview. I said it last week or maybe the week before that one position that would really put the cherry on top of the cake. And when I posed it to Adrian, that little wry smile of his, you're not far wrong. It would appear that Lee will be looking to add and bolster that pack if they can with quality at some point in the not too distant future.
Well, absolutely. They did it last season with Joffa, didn't they? They've got a habit of, pulling rabbits out the bag with some real quality players. So, but I do think they've got enough to start with. It'll be interesting, like you say. The problem will be if they get a couple of injuries, but you could say that for 90% of Super League sides, couldn't you? And just on the Cartwright one, I think people forget they lost Will Price, they lost John Asiata, and they lost Herman Essa. I think if they have those three players, they make the playoffs like last season. They were that good. I had him as probably in the same category as Brad Arthur in terms of the improvement he's made to that FC side. So fingers crossed for FC and their fans. If they could have an injury-free season, then they could well be up there challenging the top six again.
And then finally, Reggie, Mark Applegarth, talking there about the importance of the mix between youth and experience. Great to see Mark back in Super League, isn't it? And like I said to him there, we talking halfbacks. You've got the Hull FC new halfback pairing, a new halfback pairing at League. But Mark has gone with the same two that he had in the Championship. He's Captain Harris. And for me, those two could be the surprise package of Super League, those two lads.
Yeah. And, trust the trust that a coach puts in his players is second to none. If you know your coach trusts you to do a job, you'll go the 110, 120% for that coach. Now, I think that's a wise move. It's a good blend. A lot of teams this season are bringing more and more youth through, and I think again bodes well for the future with the teams that are bringing youth through. So I'm excited, and predictions, as I said last week, predictions were so difficult this week. This time around, it is a difficult one to do, and because there's so many unknown quantities in it this year with the 3 extra teams.
It's going to be good fun, mate. It's going to be good fun. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed those interviews. More of those are coming on the Captain's Run. I'll announce those a little bit later on. But right, let's now get into the next prediction. And we predict now who we believe is going to win the Challenge Cup in 2026. So here we go. This is where we went. Myself and Mr. Dixon went for St. Helens. Steph has gone for Wakefield. And Joel has said, I don't know why Joel's behind the Wakey badge there. He's hiding, isn't he? But Joel has gone Hull KR to retain. Right. Let's start with Steph. Steph, Wakey Trinity. I know why you've done this. They bought well. It's a natural progression. Why Wakey, mate? Why Wakey?
I just think it means a lot to them to get a trophy, obviously, as it does to a lot of Super League sides, but very, very similar to my team in the Leopards and what they did in 2023. A favourable draw. I know they've got a big obstacle with the draw they've got with Leeds, but if they beat Leeds and get a favourable draw in the next round, then why not? They've got a tremendous team that they built on from last year. I think they've got better with their signings, and I believe on the day they could beat anybody in Super League. So when we talked about the magic of the Challenge Cup, for me, this is the magic of the Challenge Cup, that teams like Wakefield can go from a team that was relegated to having a vastly improved season last year, and then to go on and win the Challenge Cup. What a story that would be. And I'm sure Darryl Powell has really targeted this as one they do want to win. They've got more chance of winning this than getting to the grand final. I don't think they've got a good enough team to get to the grand final this year, but I still think they'll be there or thereabouts with the playoffs. But in terms of the Challenge Cup, I fully believe that they can go all the way this year, and who would bet against them in a one-off game?
Well, I bet the odds are good as well. I've not done the odds. That'd be interesting to see. Kev Worrell, Hull FC, I've heard that it's over 19,000 currently for the FC Bradford game. I think it's going to be a record-breaking weekend of attendances this week. Joel, you've gone KR to retain the trophy. Over to you.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one with this, because the Challenge Cup is one of them cups where anyone can make it. Even Huddersfield made it in 2022, so it just shows. I think it was 22. It just shows that anyone can do it, even us. So I think with Hull KR, they're a bit like a lion who's never had meat before. They've had the first taste of blood, and now they want more. And I think to back up grand final after grand final, even though it's very doable for them, it's slightly easier with the Challenge Cup, and they know exactly how to do it. They've got a coach and a club who are hungry for more, and I do expect them to go really well. Having said that, we play them in round 4. So they've got the toughest match against us there, obviously. But
you've surrendered that game, haven't you?
But end of the day, they are the champions, and why wouldn't you bet against them?
So if Huddersfield beat KR, are you going to Huddersfield for the cup?
Why not? Well, hey, look, if Huddersfield beat Hull KR, they've beaten the best at it. So All I'm going to say is, beware, everyone. If we beat Hull KR, you're all finished.
Well, all I would say, you Robins fans, can you feel the love tonight? Simba Scholes there, doing his bit for you. Greg, I know why I've gone Saints. Why have you gone Saints?
I think they've recruited really, really well in the pack. I think they've got some great young players coming through. Again, as I said, I think Jackson Hastings is the kind of the spark that will propel them forward. Paul Rowley is a really, really good coach. Has proved himself. I think Paul Rowley will he'll target at least one trophy this season. And if he can get to Wembley and win the Challenge Cup, Paul Rowley will have kind of fulfilled his mission this season. But I think the recruitment, especially in the pack, has been so good in the off season. I just see Saints getting to Wembley and winning it.
Yeah, well, best wishes to Matty Lees, who's going to be out for 10 weeks, and
any
players that are going to miss round one. We want our best players on the field across the board. So any player that is out injured, we send them our absolute best wishes. Get back on the field as soon as possible. In terms of myself, where Saints concerned, I just think that, why not? I think I just get a feeling that Rowley's going to have these playing some really good attacking rugby league. We know that the defence has always been thereabouts. Defence has never been Saints' problem. It's been scoring the last few years, and I think they've got genuine strike this year. And I think Hastings coming in is, as Greg said, in terms of his man of steel, he's going to play a big part. So, for me, St Helens, could see them going well in the cup. But, of course, we could be wrong. Who's to say? Right, we now go to the little man himself. Here comes All.
What Would Oliver Say is proudly sponsored by South Coast Lane Carpets. From shag pile to vinyl, nylon to wool, you are guaranteed to find the right fit for your home. Contact them today and tell them Oliver sent you. This is What Would Oliver Say at Super League Raw. This week, I want to talk about the Man of Steel because they've changed how it works this year. So before, it used to be the point system every week after every match, but they've got rid of that system now. Instead, it's been decided by Man of Steel winners, so the players who actually won the award themselves. There's some massive names out there like James Roby, Sam Tompkins, so I think they do know what they're trying to look for in a Man of Steel winner. I think it's quite good because it's more about who's been class all year, not just like who's had a few big games on TV. But I do think they maybe could have picked players from different clubs, just so fans don't think they're being a bit biased, because people might think that. But it'll definitely make it more interesting, and probably cause a few arguments as well. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So what do we think, Super League Raw? Before we bring the boys back in, let's just clarify what Ollie's just said there. Fantastic stuff as always, All. So, the Man of Steel is changing. No longer is it a 1, 2, 3 after each game and then going behind closed doors, which I think all of us felt was a bit of a nonsense, quite frankly. They have now brought in a 5-man panel consisting of Ellery Hanley, Paul Sculthorpe, Joe Lydon, James Roby and Sam Tompkins. The panel will assess candidates after round 9, round 18 and round 27. Following each meeting, a short list of the leading performers from that block of games will be publicly announced. At the end of the regular campaign, the panel will meet again to draw together a final shortlist for the Steve Prescott Man of Steel and begin their deliberations on the outcome. So that's basically what is going on, folks. Right, let's bring the boys back. Changes to the Man of Steel. Ollie mentioned there, Joel, bias. I mean, obviously there's a weighting towards Wigan and a weighting towards Saints. And we know what's going to happen. If a Saints or a Wigan player wins it, it's biased, isn't it?
Unfortunately, that is something that has been a problem once again historically within rugby league. Unfortunately, he is very biased towards them teams and very biased towards Lancashire. I don't think there's a single Yorkshire bloke in there, and there never will be probably. But there we go. That's another discussion. But I think I speak on anyone who's from Yorkshire that they brush past any Yorkshire teams and they just seem to focus on Lancashire teams. That's why I said what I did. So if anybody's listening up there in the RFL, please take note. Not that you are. As regards it being open book, not behind closed doors, much better. I think it's good that you've got legends of the game being a part of it. I'm not pro or against it yet. I don't know. Jury's out for me until.
Well, it'll stop Nick Cartwright getting a look in.
Well, I don't know whether it's going to be 100% fair, but we will remain to be seen if that is the case down the line. I think some old habits die hard, and this could be one of them. So yeah, I like the fact that we know who's doing it, how it's going to be done, but I don't agree with it.
I think Jill's points are good, and we don't know who was asked. And I think that again, there might have been more players asked to be a part of it. We don't know that. We can only go with what we've got. But it's a great point that Jill has made in the chat. Greg, does this open the door to forwards? So the fact it's not a 3-2-1, and these are rugby league purists. Ellery, of course, played in, and Scully both played in the business end of it, in the middle. Does this now open the door again to perhaps a forward winning Man of Steel in 2026?
I would certainly hope so. Whether it will or not, I don't know. But I'd certainly hope so. Hanley, Sculthorpe, you can class Roby as a forward. He was a hooker. You would certainly hope that they would look at the things that we've spoke about, I think, since we started doing this podcast, that, rugby league just isn't about those flair players. It's about the players that do the hard work. It's called Man of Steel. Big Alex Walmsley should have been Man of Steel before now for the yards he makes, the tackles he puts in, the hits he takes. Players like Jamie Peacock in the past, players like that have epitomised Man of Steel, the very term of it. So I would hope that they're not just looking at flair players, that they're looking at the players that do the hard work, that drive the teams forward, that ultimately create the space for those flair players to work their magic and put the wingers, the centres, the fullbacks through the gaps. So yes, let's hope it's a fairer system. Let's hope there is no bias, and I'm sure there won't be. And let's hope it's a more open system.
Well, let's hope that it is. I think Jamie Peacock was the last forward to win it.
I think Shane.
Yeah, if you're going to class hookers, but I mean, I'm on about forwards, and I'm on about props, second row loose. No, I think it was. I think I could be wrong. I think it's Peacock, mate. The last one who won it. Steph, do you like it?
I do. I think, going on to my prediction earlier with Jez Litton, I think Jez would have stood a miles better shout under this panel. I think he potentially could have won it last year if it was under that system. So I do prefer that over the 3-2-1. I get Joel's point, but you'd like to think that distinguished rugby league, professionals will be looking for the best player. They would be just as upset if players didn't get the recognition they deserve just because they're rugby league players. So I'd like to think, yes, there is a bit of Yorkshire-Lancashire rivalry, but I would like to think that they would want to see the best players recognised.
Well, let's hope so. We will see how that one goes. Unfortunately, if you're watching Mr. Cartwright, I think you're going to miss out again this year. But anyway, that's by the by. Right, plenty of good stuff on the way this week. This is brand new, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes peeled for this over the weekend. It's going to be instant reaction time. That's right. Our members are going to be giving us their instant reaction straight after the game. But we need Bradford Bulls, Catalan Dragons and York Knight fans to become members and actually get involved in this. We would hope to get an instant reaction after every game. The fans, right after the final whistle, when the blood is boiling or when they're ready to really take the mickey because they've got a great win. It's going to be great entertainment over the course of the weekend. Look out for instant reaction from around the grounds on our YouTube channel. A brand new feature here at Super League Raw in 2026. It could be absolutely superb. We're really looking forward to that one. Become a member. Why wouldn't you not? But anyway, there you go. Right, we're going to go now back into predictions. Before we do Hull KR, 2008 James Graham, Steve Cartledge is saying, so that would gazump Jamie Peacock. Well done.
Kevin Wallace put in the chat that Roby never won it. He did.
Yes, he did.
James Roby won it. He did win it
twice.
Quite, yeah. The first time was quite controversial.
He's won it twice.
Yeah.
He's won it twice, Kev. Anyway, by the by. Right, let's do our places now. We're going to look at what we're predicting from places 14 to 11. So this is our predictions 14 to 11. And the interesting thing is we're in complete agreement with the teams that are going to finish in those 4 bottom places, but we've done them in different orders. So my order is Toulouse bottom, Bradford 13, York 12, Castleford 11. That's how I see it. I'll be honest with you, York and Castleford I was toying with, but I've gone Castleford in 11th, and that will make sure that I win me bet with Simo, and Alfie gets even more money because I think Simo said they finished 9th. I've got them at 11. We'll wait and see on that. So that's how I see it. Greg, over to you.
Yeah, I've got Toulouse, York, Castleford, Bradford. I think Toulouse haven't quite got the squad there. I think York, despite that they've got a lot of ex-Super League experience in there, I think they will struggle as well. Castleford, again, recruited quite well, but I think Bradford have recruited the best of those teams with experience and with pace. So that was the reasoning I went for that. I mean, do you know what? It could have been, they could have been in any position, those positions. And I still, stand to be corrected on those.
Yeah, Steph, I think the surprising one that people will look at with you is where you've got to lose, but talk us through yours, mate.
I think the most surprising one is that Joel's got Castleford Bradford, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute.
Yes, we will come to that in a minute. I think the thing with Toulouse is that travel factor, what I put in. York, it's the unknown of that squad. Bradford, I'm really liking their halfback combination, even though Nicarima's injured at the moment. But when they've got him and Milne, I think they could pick up a few scalps there. So I think the big one for me to talk about there is Toulouse. I just think it's the travel. I think they're going to pick up a few surprise home wins.
Right. Okay. I have to say that when it came through, that was the one that surprised me, I have to say. But there you go. It's because of the travel, says Steph. We will wait and see. And Joel, yes, would you like to explain how Castleford Tigers are above Bradford? Joel, talk us through your 14 to 11, and then over to you, mate, because you were adamant that Bradford were finishing above Castleford.
Yeah, I was, and there's a reason. There's 2 reasons for that, actually. So at the time when I said it, Mapalangi hadn't signed for Castleford. I think he's going to be a very exciting player for Cass, and I think that just tips it. And the fact that Jaden Nicarima is going to be injured for a little while, I think is massive for Bradford. The fact that they're going to have a player that they really need to even take I think even 1 or 2 or 3 games scalp that they would need, I think will just tip it. I do think, I stand by what I said at the time. I thought the squad was stronger. But when they signed Mapalangi, I thought, and then I saw Jaden Nicarima, I thought, yeah, it can only go that way for that reason alone. But I'm not stubborn about things. If I see things change, I'll change my mind accordingly.
But we all agree, though, and this is the interesting thing, we've all agreed that they had a bottom 4 in some sort of order, which is quite interesting because none of us conferred on this. This was just how we saw it. So who knows? Who knows if we're right or if we're wrong? Right, before we get into the higher places, let's take a look at the reigning champions because, of course, they are going to go about defending their title in 2026. This is their squad for the purposes of the podcast. At 1, Arthur Morg, Tom Davis at 2, Petter Hiku 3, Oliver Gild at 4, 5, Joe Burgess, 6, Mikey Lewis, 7, Tyrone May, Jesse Souza 8, Jez Litton, not Jex, Jez, don't know where the X came from, but there you go. Jez Litton is at number 9, Tom Amone is 10, 11, Dean Hadley, at 12, James Batchelor, 13, the captain, Elliot Minchella, 14, Jack Broadbent, 15 Sam Luckley, 16 Jai Whitbread, 17 Reece Martin, 18 Jack Brown, 19 Carl Lawton, 20 Jordan Desiree, 21 Noah Booth, 22 Bill Leyland, 23 Lee Kershaw, 24 Jack Charles, 25 Louis Gorman, 26 Harvey Horn, 27 Leon Rouen, but he's been loaned out for the season. Jack Fishwick is 28, Tom Whitehead 29, Kobe Wainhouse, he is at 30. He's also, I believe, it's Jimmer, isn't it? 31 Declan Murphy, you'll remember him from Salford. 32 Jimmer Sambu, he has been loaned out as well. And 33 Frankie Dearlove. Leaving Neil Tashambe, JWH, Mickey McAlorum, both of those, of course, retired. I don't know why Mickey's there twice, but hey, he's worthy of it. AJ Wallace, Rowan Milnes, Kalepi Tanginoa, Danny Richardson, Iribi Doro, and Phoenix LT. We'll just put that there. So that's the team. That's where they stand. Joel, improved or stood still or slightly weaker? How are you seeing them?
If anything, slightly improved. Reasons for saying that: JWH was absolutely fantastic for them, but he was at the end of his career. Obviously, he's retired now. But I think, would he have had the same impact this year, a year on? Don't know. But the fact that they've got Tom Amon in there, I think he's a wonderful replacement. You can't look at what Tom Amon did at Cass. You're gonna have to look at what he's done, what he's going to do at KR. This is where he knew he was going to be. Ended up being. This is where he's going to play. Hopefully, what we saw at Lee, if not a little bit better, that'd be great. They've got rid of some players. Obviously, Mickey Mack, massive loss, of course. But I think that they have got a very dangerous squad there. They already had a great squad last year, and I think it's just slightly more potent this year.
Yeah, it's an interesting squad. There's no doubt about it. A player that a lot of people will be looking forward to seeing, Steph, is Carl Lawton, of course, coming from the Gold Coast. From the Cowboys. Sorry, he's played for Gold Coast. He played for Manly as well. 115 LRL appearances from this lad. Good foil in terms of Jez Litton at hooker. Because Mickey McAlorum was the back end of his career, I think Carl Lawton is a good move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very experienced. Good player to bring in, and I think he'll really adapt well to this KR squad and the way they play as well. I think it's all right being a good player. It's fitting into a team like KR, who are already a fantastic squad, and I think he's got all the attributes to do that. Tom Amon, I think we're going to see a completely different Tom Amon to what we saw at Castleford, with all due respect to Castleford. Tom Amon, from a Lee fan perspective, he made a living off a quick play of the ball. And he's going to get that in abundance at KR. If he's fit, and that's the biggest thing, because he didn't look fit at Castleford. He slowly ground into it and got better as the season went on. But with a good pre-season, he's going to be absolutely superb for them this year. I've no doubt he's going to be right up there with the top performing props in Super League. They have lost some key players. I think Tanganoa is a great signing for Warrington and a big loss for KR. I think him coming off the bench was really strong for KR last year. But I do think it's a slight upgrade on what they had last year. And they didn't need to change that much, but I think that they've just done enough.
They've just done enough. And Greg, I mean, I think the interesting thing for me is half. I mean, you look at this squad. There's got versatility in there. So, you've got the likes of Jack Charles, that he's coming in as good cover for Mikey Lewis, Tyrone May. If they don't fancy Jack, depending on who it is, we know that Jez Litton has been put in there before now, and that would, of course, free up Bill Leyland and Carl Lawton to be the nines playing there. So as I look at this squad, Greg, there's a lot of fluidity in it. There's a lot of fluidity in it, but I do think they do need the best version of Tom Amon. That I think Tom's a massive signing, and they need him to be at his best, don't they?
Without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt, you're right. Very flexible, but as you know, as Steph has said, Tom Amon thrives off a quick play of the ball, off open play, and there's few better forwards and Tom Amone when Tom Amone is on form. I'm interested to see how Tom Whitehead goes if he gets a chance, because he was one of those players at Warrington that was touted for big things, and I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah.
And I think Tanginoa will be a big miss. And I think, with my Warrington hat on, I think that's a great signing for us, as I think Steph said as well. Interesting with Jack Charles. Interesting to see how much game time he'll get this season. I think KR are round about the same place that they were. JWH was a great player, but again, as Joe said, at the end of his career, I think they're kind of much of a muchness, which is not a bad place to be, seeing as you won practically everything last season. So I think they've recruited quite well, and they've not disturbed the balance of the squad, which is important. Sometimes changing for change's sake can upset the balance of the squad. And I think that's the one thing that they've been mindful not to do. They've not imbalanced the squad in any way.
It's a great squad. The question is, when we get to that end of our predictions, do we see them winning it? That's the question. That is the question. Right, okay, I've just noticed actually. I don't think I've done a grand final graphic. So we're just gonna have to pick our grand final winner when we get to that point in the show. Right, okay. If you haven't joined it yet, time is ticking. The Super League Fantasy League is up and running. The Super League Raw 26 is the one you need to join. Again, the prizes are just for the members. Just for the members. So if you're not a member, why are you not a member? Because more prizes are up for grabs in the Fantasy League. Super League Raw 26 is the Fantasy League. 12378 is the pin number. You are playing for first prize, a Challenge Cup final Club Wembley ticket for 2027. In second place, a replica shirt, and then a beanie, bobble, or baseball hat if you come first. Great prizes there. The Super League Raw Fantasy League. Go and pick your fantasy team on the official Super League Fantasy team, and then join our league, the Super League Raw 26 League. Get your teams in, and very, very good luck to everybody. Right, okay, we're going to have to push on. It's a bumper show. We're not going to be having these longer shows this season, but because it is the one before the new season, it was always going to be a little bit longer. Right, okay, here we go. Now we're going to do places from number 10 to number 7. 10 to 7. Here we go. This is how we see it. And there's a bit of difference in this one. Here we go. So we'll kick off with me. I've gone at 10, Huddersfield Giants, 9, Catalan Dragons, 8, Hull FC, 7, the Warrington Wolves. That's how I see it. Greg, over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to get pelters for this, being a Warrington fan. There's loads of optimism around the Warrington squad, and I understand that. I just think this season is a season of transition. It's a season where young players are coming in. And I just don't think that they've got that they've still got some players out injured. So I can see that this is a season where, and I think the club might not be happy with that, but they can see a forward plan. So I think Warrington will struggle a little bit against some of the bigger teams that have recruited better than they have. Hull, I think, will do okay, but just haven't got that edge to push them over, to push them up into the 6. And Dragons will just miss out, because I think Dragons have got some players in there that if they click, they will cause trouble for a lot of teams, but not again. Same with Hull, same with Warrington, same maybe with Huddersfield as well, that they just haven't got that edge that will see them into that 6. And do you know what? This, as I say, I keep harking on this, that it was really difficult. Any one of those teams, given a good run and given that click, could very well force their way into the top 6. And I only see a few points being between these teams and the teams that get in the 6.
Absolutely. So to confirm, Greg, 10 is Huddersfield, 9 Warrington, Hull FC 8, and Catalan 7. Steph, over to you.
Yeah.
Is he there?
Sorry, I was on mute. I've got Catalan 10th, only because I think it's probably a season too early for them, given the amount of change they've had to make. They could very easily make the playoffs if it all clicks for them. I just think it may take a bit longer, and I am still worried, the Joel Tompkins coaching situation, whether that's going to work out, yes or no. For Joel, obviously, I hope it does. But yeah, we have to pick some people somewhere. So I've gone with them 10th. Huddersfield, another one. I think they're going to have an improved season. If they finish 9th, that would be an improved season for them this year. Hull FC, my concern with Hull FC is obviously the injuries and the slightly aging squad. They could be the surprise, though. They could burst into the top 6. Wakefield, I've gone with 7th. Another one that could surprise us and could definitely, like Reggie said, make the playoffs. But we've got to pick some people somewhere, and I just think other teams will just do slightly better this year. So I've gone Wakefield 7th.
Yeah. So there you go. And Joel, you're 10 to 7, mate.
Yeah, so I've just gone with this as logical as I possibly can. So please don't hate on me, Hull FC fans. The reason why I've put you in 9th is because 3 reasons actually. Age of squad, the size of the pack. I think people are not maybe thinking too much about the new rules, the speed of the rucks and everything else. Having such a big pack, that might be something that might get you unstuck a little bit. I might be completely wrong, and they absolutely smash it and hit the top 6, and they've got the squad to do it. But I think with how quick players are going to be and having bigger pack members, fitness is absolute key. And with Herman out, it's just a recipe of every possible win that you can get does count this season. This is the most compact season yet, I think. I think 8th to 10th, any of them 3 teams could be in them positions, possibly. I put us at 10th just because I do think genuinely we are going to play better this year. But I've been a Huddersfield fan a very, very, very long time, and I know how terrible we can be, even with a good squad. But Catalan I put 8th, such an unknown quantity, as Steph mentioned. But they have got some really good players in that squad, very balanced. Is it a year too soon? Possibly, because when you've got such a big team to swap and change, they don't always click straight away, but when they do, it can be magical. And I think 7th is pretty much hit on with Wakefield. Great squad. They have definitely improved, but I think the top 6 have improved just that bit more.
Well, we'll see. I mean, all of us agreeing that we don't see FC in the 6, we don't see Catalan in the 6, and we don't see Huddersfield in the 6. But that is how we look. Very, very interesting indeed. Right, let's move up the table. Now let's take a look at position 6 to 3. So we're now going to look at 6 to 3. Who have we got where? I will kick off. So in terms of mine, in 6th position, I've gone the Rhinos. In 5th, and this is mad, isn't it? I mean, you've got Joel and Steph saying that Wakey won't make the top 6, and vice versa. Warrington, where me and Greg are concerned, but I've gone Wakey 5th. I've gone Wigan 4th, and I've gone Saints 3rd. That is how I see it. So Leeds 6th, Wakey 5th, Wigan 4th, and Saints 3rd. Greg, over to you. Greg, you're on mute, mate.
I was just making Steph feel better. I think the smoothie factor at Wakefield is a big factor. If they can keep him fit, he's a grand final winner. He's a great player. A lot of people said they kind of punched above the weight last season. I think they will hit the straps this season and they will get into the top 6 easily. Rhinos improving year on year. They've got a great coach. They've got a really solid squad. And Wigan, I think, will be there or thereabouts. They haven't kind of, again, it's a solid squad. It's a settled squad. Some players have gone out and some younger players have come into that squad. Depends on the fitness of French and Field, as it has done for a long time, it seems, over the last few seasons. Leopards will be in the 6, and I'm not kind of being disrespectful for Leopards putting them 6th. Again, this is a kind of a number of places that could could have swapped or changed, and there'll only be a few points, maybe even point difference between these sides at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned.
I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's so hard to pick this year. There's not an awful lot between these two teams, but there you go. I think what's interesting about this graphic is that we've all got Leeds in a different position, which is interesting. You know, when you look at the graphic. Steph, over to you, mate. Do your 6-3.
Yeah, well, I've got Warrington getting into the 6 this year, and I think last year the injuries cost Wire massively. Getting Matty Ashton back is going to be huge. Some really exciting players coming in as well. I just hope for you guys, you don't have the season you did last year, a bit like Huddersfield with the injuries. And I think if you can stay pretty much injury free to key players, I think you will get into the 6. Leeds again, another team. You could put them anywhere in this 3 to 6 for me. It's all going to depend on those minute details. I'm only predicting probably 3-4 points on the league table between all these teams. Got my team league 4th. Have we done enough recruitment wise? There's so much resting on Adam Cook's shoulders for me at 6. That's going to be pivotal. But I have gone Lee 4, and I've gone Wigan Warriors 3. Main reason for that is I don't think Wigan have improved. I think the Ollie Wilson is a big setback for them over the course of the season. But it's Wigan, and they could very easily win it.
Wigan could very easily win it. And Joel, you're 6-3, mate.
Yeah, so Warrington, I've definitely got in the top 6. You've got Danny Walker in there, Matty Ashton back. You've got Clippy Tanganoa. You've got some really good players in the right positions. The reason why Warrington struggled last year was injuries. And this year they look like they've got a much cleaner bill of health. And if that continues, which we pray it does, I don't see any reason why Warrington won't be in the top 6. It's not their year again this year, but certainly a much improved Warrington this season. I'm definitely seeing, and if they're not hitting the playoffs, then something seriously is wrong, and questions need to be asked. The reason why I went Saints 5th, I initially thought of them being a bit higher, but once again, like I see, they've got quite a big pack, and that may help you or not help you this year. And having a lot of newer players come in, I think it's like the same thing with Catalans. Are they going to gel together straight away? Are they not? That'll be remain to be seen. Wigan, the reason why I put Wigan in 4th is because Wigan's 1 to 17 is incredibly strong. Beyond that, and this might be quite controversial, it seems a bit weak. They don't have the depth that they once did. I don't think that you could put the players beyond the 17 in that squad and they'll be playing in the top 4 positions. But they do pretty well, the Wigan, for injury wise. Other than Ollie Wilson being out, but then again he's from Huddersfield, so that's why he's injured. So I don't see Wigan doing as well this season, and I think the teams that I've put above are going to do far better. Leeds I've put in 3rd. That was a change yesterday. I actually had them in position 1. I got them to finish top up until yesterday, but with all the injuries that they've got, I think it would be a step too far. I think to come top, you've got to go pretty much the whole season without any injuries. So our Leeds are going to be a really good squad this year, and I think they're going to do really well. So that's why I've got 3rd.
Right, so there you go. That is the way we're looking at it. So let's now go to who we think are going to finish in the top 2 places. Saints are going to feature in this for 2 of you. Going to be very interesting indeed. Here it comes, the top 2. So I've gone in 2nd place, the Lee Leopards, and in 1st place, Hull KR. I think Lee might just get above Wigan because they've improved the squad. It's going to take some clicking, but I just think Lee potentially could do it. KR, for me, should, over a 27-round comp, still have a bit too much for everybody. Greg?
Yeah, KR. I think a little bit like Joel said with in his I think that the squad is strong 1 to 17, and then after that, there's a few players that kind of maybe aren't as strong as they were last season. They've got the Vegas factor that affected Warrington last season as well. It might not have an impact on KR the same way it did Warrington. But for me, Saints, again, the recruitment, Jackson Hastings, the pack, Jacob Host, Wes, Clemmer, Dave Clemmer, our units. They've got a big pack, but they've also got a mobile pack. And they've got players coming through like George Delaney, who will want to make more of an impact this season. So for me, yes, they've got a big pack, but they've also got some quite mobile players. They've got some fast outside backs, some young players coming through. Wellesby, as you said, Dave, in your Man of Steel selection, Wellesby's got a point to prove. And I think, I think this is Saints' year to bounce back. Paul Rowley is an excellent coach. So yeah, for me, it sounds like a bit of a Saints loving for me, but we've had a kind of a trend over the last few seasons that one team will win all the trophies. And I think this year it might be Saints' turn to do that.
That must hurt. Okay, Steph.
I've gone Saints second. I think it's a bit like a factory reset, isn't it? When you clear your PC, you start again. And I think having Paul Rowley there is going to be massive for Saints. I think we're going to see a big uplift in their players that they've got, and also the younger players as well. And also a really exciting brand of rugby from Saints, the way we all expect Saints to play. So I've gone for them second. KR, I still think they're so strong. They've got such a good squad. And over the 27 rounds, like you, Dave, I think they'll come out on top.
Fair enough. And Joel?
Yeah, went for KR in second for two reasons. One, it's very, very difficult to back up year after year. Not impossible for KR at all. They've got the squad to do it. But the last year they were so good with, I think they were the most least injured squad in the league, and that is also very difficult to back up year after year. So I think it's more just it's a coin flip out of Lee and Hull KR. But the reason why I put Lee at top spot is Lee have bulldozed their way into Super League since they came back, and rightly so, well deserved. They've been in the playoffs every single year they've been back in. This is the time now they have to shine. Lee cannot hide behind the playoff top 6 positions now. They've got to be pushing for, top 2. It has to be top 2. Because, everyone's talked about the Lathers, be the Roaras all the time since they've been back in Super League. And having Adam Cook in there, I think, is the reason why they will finish top, because that is the one weak link that they had last year. Yes, they don't have the best forward pack. It doesn't matter as much. They've got what they needed, and that is a good kicker in Adam Cook. And you're on mute.
Out of time. Right, so one word. Who wins the grand final, Joel?
Grand final, I'm going to go for, let's see what I put down. I actually put down Hull KR.
Greg?
Saints.
Steph? Dave? KR. So there you go. That is how it runs. That is how we are. And people will be going, where's your predictions for round 1? You've got to tune in to the Captain's Run. We're doing it different this year. Captain's Run, Thursday, 6 p.m. All the predictions, all the build-up, stats, analytics, all the good stuff that you expect from Super League Raw. The Captain's Run returns Thursday, 6 p.m. Listen on Spotify and Apple, or watch on YouTube. We'll take you right up to about 7:15. Make sure you catch the Captain's Run. Don't forget Championship Rugby League tomorrow, 7 p.m. with Craig Lingard and myself. That is a brilliant episode of Super League Raw Weekly. If you remember, if you want, you can go over to the after show party. Just use the social links. We will be back with more Super League Raw Weekly next week on the other side of round 1. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Enjoy the first round of the Betfred Super League, folks. See you soon. Bye for now.